Hello, my name is Joshua Edwards. I am your host of the Shop Talk Quinny podcast, where we have real, raw, and authentic conversations with entrepreneurs and professionals in the Quinny region and beyond. All right, welcome, ladies. Good to see you. How y'all feeling today?
Good. Nice and toasty out.
Little bit of a different setting.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Well, not for Holly.
Holly's studio
Not
is
for
amazing.
me, but still, it's different because I'm sitting here in front of the camera, wishing I was behind it.
Well, listen. First and foremost, I want to say thank you guys for coming and being able to sit down. This, the topic of today that we're going to be talking about is ironically something that you cultivate in here, Holly. Especially, definitely my experience in here, which is good vibes. And it's just a word or phrase I've heard so often, whether it's on social media, when you come in contact with people, as it relates to business. You know, people wanting to do business with other people that are like-minded, think the same way, there's a good energy. And it got me thinking a little bit deeper into that. And I want to bring you guys in to kind of have this deeper conversation around, what does good vibes look like? And then expanding that further. So I'm actually going to go right to this question. And it's going to give me a gauge. So this question is like on a scale between 1 and 10. Mm-hmm. Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say, where would you say you're at right now in your business when it comes to like the feeling of good vibes, positive energy, mental health, etc.? Mm-hmm. When you think about that framework, 1 being like, not at a good place with it, to be honest, right now. Mm-hmm. And like 10 being like, I'm at like my peak, like I'm having a ball and it's like all good vibes where I'm at right now. Where would you guys say you fall within that range?
Go ahead.
I was just thinking, should I put a number on it? I suppose I'm probably at a healthy, solid 7 right now. Because in regards to the clinical setting, my massage practice has been evolving over the 6 years that I've been at RMT. But right now it was just kind of focusing on the clinic and the team. And I would say healthy 7 because we kind of had our nose to the grindstone, developing what the clinic would look like, the atmosphere, finding the people for it, what our vision for the clinic is or was as it changes and has evolved. And now it's like, okay, we kind of have that. We have a good dynamic. We're still looking for a practitioner, which I'm hopeful we'll find one. But being at a 7 is just like, we're hopeful and we're excited for the next few steps. But we're not like quite there yet. But we've surpassed that like mediocre, awkward 5, and we're not sad and like, oh my God, what are we doing at the 1? So I would say like a nice concrete 7 is healthy, and I'm pumped about that, I guess, right now.
Cool.
That's me.
That's good. I'd say I'm at like a 5, I would say, because I love my job, but I'm also at like an awkward growing stage where I'm finally at like the level of like busyness I want, but I also realized that the last like 5 years I've done like nothing but work and like had like no personal life. So now I'm like, okay, I need a personal life. So I'm like hiring people, but also want to stay in my business, but also want to step back. So I'm just at an awkward stage. 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Solid.
What about you?
This is a good question. I knew he was going to come back on me. I would say right now, as of right now, I'm probably at a 7 as well. And the reason that is because like right now, like we're in a stage of growth. So we've brought on new people. we're growing our services, and we're expanding into different markets. And growing pains is an obvious thing that comes with that. So there are things that I'm discovering in this process that are new to me. So whenever something's like new, I got to go and like figure out, okay, how do I address this? How do I deal with this? And like, and that can be daunting because like when I don't know how to do something, but it's like, it's right in front of me, I have to deal with it. It's like, I have a feeling of like anxiety because it's like, I don't have the tools yet to deal with this problem, but this problem is right now.
Oh my God.
And that happens a lot when you're in a stage of growth, right?
Yes.
So I think constantly like going back and forth with that, and then just the human side of it, like continuing to show up, continuing to do all of the intangible things while getting those new things thrown at you like day in and day out. So I would say like I'm at a solid 7. Like there are a lot of good things happening, but there are a lot of new things happening that aren't necessarily bad. They're just they're new, and I have to figure them out. So
when you like get to the things that like you don't know what you're doing, do you have like someone in your industry who's done it like longer than you or whatever that you can like ask?
That's a great question. You know what? I do and I don't. So most of my mentors have absolutely nothing to do with the industry. But I actually, I mean, other than like me going to YouTube and like listening to Gary Vee or something like that. Right? So I think that's probably where some of the hang up can be at sometimes is that like the advice I get isn't necessarily industry focused. So it's like you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt and say like, yeah, that could work, but that doesn't necessarily work in my scenario.
Right. Do you have someone that you can turn to? Or like people?
I have various people that I look up to in my life, and sometimes I'll just ask them their opinions, or because they're also entrepreneurs, and like we were talking about my cousin who's a videographer before. I'm like, man, how are you handling this? And she's always trying to. Well, she does give me a lot of social media advice, and I don't know. I just have a lot of people on the back burner that always seem to be happy to help out, and I'm so grateful for them.
That's good.
And it's even just having like your partner or your spouse at home or a best friend to chat to. Like I didn't realize how handy it would be having that, you know, rock of a partner in the background, just like grounding you and setting you forward and instilling that confidence in you that you didn't realize you needed.
Right.
Like even this morning, like I was panicking. I was like, oh my God, none of the items I want to wear today fit. And Jordan was like, listen, just relax. You can do this. You've done this before. He put on one of my favorite playlists and then just let me to myself in the bathroom. And I was like, this podcast is about good vibes. So
Jordan,
it's just
that's so cute.
But having even just that one person, it doesn't have to be a spouse or a partner or whatever, just like that best friend too, that just kind of grounds you. And then you remember who you are. And you're like, well, shit, I can do this.
But what about when you're like, you have like a client problem, or just not even a client, just like an issue in your business, and you ask that person, or like your mom, you like ask them, and you know they have your best interest, but maybe not like everyone else. They want you to win, and they don't care about anyone else. Do you ever get that, or no? Is that just my family?
So are you talking about the perspective of myself, but not thinking about other people?
Yeah. So if you were like said to me like, oh, this happened and I don't know what to do, and I would be like, just do what's best for you. Forget about it. They don't matter. You know what I mean? And then you're like, but I have to also like think about these are my clients. These are the people I serve. They matter. Do you ever? Because I get that a lot. Like for me, like Jordan and Mom.
I
do get that
personally,
a lot,
I can't take that stuff to like my like if it was my parents or like certain things, I just can't take to those people because I know I'm gonna get that answer, and that's not what I need.
Yeah, it's not what. No,
because I already know all of that stuff. It's like no. I need to know how to tactically go about solving this challenge that's in front of me right now.
Yeah.
But
That's
the
true.
the
That's what I'm
macro
curious.
stuff isn't going to help me because I'm actually very good in macro land, like seeing the big picture. The micro stuff is where I need more
Yeah.
assistance.
Give me an example of the micro. I
So-
don't even know what you mean.
So, for example, I'll give you an example. So, like a client, a client, we used this example before the show. Like they're not happy with the service. You've given them exactly what they paid for, but they're still not happy at the end of it. And then it's like, where do you go from there? So then, I mean, I've had clients say like, if like they make threats based
What?
with
Really?
grounds
Oh, you
made
mean
on
like
nothing.
I'm gonna leave you a review, like that kind of threat? Not like I'm gonna beat you up, like.
No, like legal or whatever,
right,
like just
right,
like
right,
upset,
right. Yeah.
and especially like in the last 2 years because everybody's on edge, right?
Right.
So it's like things that don't even make sense. Like people are gonna just send you stuff and say like, yeah, I'm gonna take legal. It's like no, this is the contract. This is what you've paid for.
Yeah, contracts are so important.
So it's like,
Yes.
so the macro level is like, I already understand that like, okay, I've already done a self-analysis and I know that I'm fine. Like I'm good. Like
Yeah.
I'm not questioning anything about what I've done and how I've,
I think I'm the opposite.
how I've like, interacted and presented myself.
Right.
Right.
On the micro side, I do need to then look at, but how do I still deal with this challenge that's in front of me? Like, what do I say next? How do I, respectfully end the conversation?
Yeah.
So things that's just one example of many.
Well, then you're probably a good person for me to talk to because I think I'm definitely the opposite. Even if I think I've done everything right, and if they're not happy, I'm like, well, what could I have done differently? How am I going to avoid this? Because I never want this to happen again. I don't ever want to have this conversation again. So I'm definitely like a second guesser. Like, what did we do wrong? Even if we think that we did everything right and did everything normal and everyone's always been happy with it before, I'm definitely like, well, they're not, so something's wrong. I don't know.
It's always good to do like self-reflection. Like that's always something I encourage because it's
Yeah.
like you have to. You always have to check yourself. It's like it's always like, there's always four fingers pointing back at you, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right. And like as the business owner, as the person that's like in charge, like overseeing everything, it's always my fault. I always look at
Yeah,
it that way.
exactly
But just
how I
because
feel.
it's my fault, that doesn't mean that I'm going to adhere to like demands that just make no sense from a business standpoint. It just means that I'm fully okay to sacrifice my pride and say like, I'm sorry that you had a bad experience.
Yeah.
And and I'll just make a referral. I'll say,
Yeah.
here's like 3 top people in the industry that do what I
Yep.
do. Please, have a conversation with them. Maybe they'll provide you something that you're looking for. And then that's how I've learned to politely send people on their way.
Yes.
Okay, so what if you give them a referral and they still will not go with the other person? They're still asking for you to do it, even though they're like,
I wouldn't want them as my client.
what do you do? I've tried that.
So the challenge then is like firing the client.
Yeah, and I just know that they're gonna play like the victim card and be like, "Wow, we
What
were
if they
really
did, though?
depending on you." Then I would
cares?
feel, that's what, what
What's
everyone
one
says.
bad
Yeah, but you
review?
got you got 35 people lined up saying
Yeah,
that
man.
they can take the job.
I
So it's not like
know.
nobody's gonna take over.
Yeah, I
Right?
know. I
So-
don't know why. I think I just am so, at like the review thing. That's what I'm worried about. Her mom's gonna get on there and be like, "They didn't show up," or like just
Yeah.
something crazy,
Listen, I'm never ever afraid of a bad review. And
Really?
here's why. Because I can respond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing like if they just leave the review and
That's a good point.
and then I can't do anything about it. The fact alone that I can respond,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
afraid of any bad comment.
Yeah.
True.
As long as I'm checking myself and making sure I'm acting in integrity,
That's true.
what do
Absolutely.
I have to be afraid of?
Well, that basically solves my issue.
And there's I just feel like there's always going to be those people. They're never going to
Yes.
disappear. And not only do they make us better people, they make us better business people, because
Yeah.
we start to stand up for ourselves and we start to say, hey, you know what? This ain't my client.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I have 35 other clients that are
Yeah.
like, they want me,
Yeah.
and they're not making this a challenge or like getting their mom to talk to me about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Those
an issue to
are-
me. Anyways, but
Agreed.
yeah, like, they're not your clients, so.
Yeah.
And we're humans, we're meant to err, and just by erring, we're able to better ourselves.
Yeah.
So hopefully, in saying, you know what, you aren't the greatest client in the most professional way possible, hopefully maybe they'll grow from that too. And
Yeah.
the next person they bring on, they're like, okay, maybe we won't treat the photographer like this.
Yeah.
Or maybe they will, and they'll maybe get
Maybe
another
they'll
lesson.
read their
knows?
contract in advance.
But yeah, I just think that you at this point in your career, like maybe if you were starting out and you were just like starting out, Holly, maybe you'd,
I still feel like
tiptoe
I am,
around it
but-
and be like, I can't really afford a bad review right now.
Yeah.
I'm past that.
Maybe that's an issue too. I feel like
Man, you're way too good for this.
I'm still new. I still feel very new, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's very true too. Like,
This
are
brings up a
people-
good question, actually, because like when that's like, it's the one thing that comes to my mind always when I think about like, how do you continue to keep that positive like aura happening like in your business, and like sometimes the things that distract from that are the interactions, are the
yes,
communication
100%.
exchanges. So like, what's, and if I can ask this kind of general question and anybody can answer, is like, what do you do when you've had that negative interaction, that negative exchange? How does that affect you mentally, emotionally, when you think about like, like just keeping that aura in your business? And then like, what do you do about that?
I had some pretty awful clients in Toronto, and I remember as like a young RMT, I would stress about it, and I'd go home. I'd had anxiety about it. I'd have an anxiety attack, and I'd worry and I'd worry and I'd worry. And then finally, we get to the point where it's like, why am I dishing out so much energy for somebody that doesn't appreciate me in return, when all I'm trying to do is my best here, and all we can do is our best. And that's super cheesy and cliche, but I
no,
truly
it's true.
believe that, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So it's just changing your perspective on it. Like, what was going on in that person's life? What is that person's life experience? What is their past traumas that led them to that point where they thought they could treat me like that? I feel bad for them. I'm sorry that happened to you, that you feel you can treat another human like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe the perspective shift to just move on and not feel anxious about it. And I think we're always going to feel a little bit sad and upset about it, because at the end of the day, we want to be our best and we want to help everybody, but
Yeah.
we just physically cannot. And I think it's really hard to come to terms with that, and I still have a hard time with that, but that's just been my
Totally.
experience.
Totally. I still do too.
I don't know.
I think I'm still figuring all of that out.
Yours is so much
because-
larger scale too. Like,
Yeah. Like,
many more humans dealt with it.
oh yeah.
larger
Well, okay.
environment.
Like honestly, 99% of people that I deal with are like amazing and happy, because like I'm photographing the best day of their life, like, or like the
Right.
thing that they love, like their kids or like their business. It's like, it's all very positive usually, but it's just miscommunications and stuff. But I don't know how I deal with that, because I think that I haven't figured that out. How I was saying at the beginning, the last 5 years, all I did is work. Like, my friends are my clients at this point. So
Right.
I think I am working on that, and I definitely I basically take it all to heart. But at first I'm a little angry. I get a little
Yes.
angry, but I would never respond to an email
So angry.
So then I kind of wait, and then I think about it for the next 7 days.
That's probably a really good idea. I wish there's many instances where I wish I had have waited to send those emails or to do something, and that is such a great piece of advice right there.
Yeah.
That's actually very interesting, because I feel like I have the opposite problem. Like, I actually want to respond right away,
I want to,
and
but
I
I'm
feel
not gonna.
like I feel like I feel like I have the like because my default is not to like come in guns blazing.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't matter if like I received like the thrashing email like 5 minutes ago. I know I could come back with a response that was like very gracious within the next 5 minutes. So, but I'm an impatient person by nature. So
Yeah,
like
me too.
I want to respond,
Same.
but I also want to like consider everything that they've said,
Yeah.
but not come back with like the same lengthy paragraph. Like I just want to condense it to like
Right.
3 lines. But that takes me time to think about.
Yes.
But the impatient side inside of me is like, just respond now.
Yeah.
Because I want to move past it.
Yes.
I want to move.
that's it.
That's,
Bug
that's the
you.
thing. I just want to
Sit
move past
with
it.
it.
I don't
Yeah.
like
Sleep
sitting
with
on
it.
it. But it's like sometimes I have to wait, and it annoys the crap out of me.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you can leave it at work, or do you feel like you take it home? Well, you work from home too, so it's like,
Yeah.
is that hard? Like, does Charlotte hear everything, or do you try to like
How
cut
do
it
you
out?
separate that?
Yeah. Well, it's I think I'm getting better at it because like Charlotte, she's got her own mental capacity as well, right?
Yeah, totally.
So like I tried to kind of keep it to a minimum, really. And then like I have my business coach and other mentors that like I can chat with and call if something like is really egging me on that I need to deal with.
Yeah.
Like literally this past week, I had something where it was like, I need help.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like carrying it home, definitely like from a vibes perspective, like it can be difficult. Like I remember in my first year as owning OSM, like I remember there was a client that like we made like there was one thing that we didn't consider in the project. So it's not like we quoted them anything different or anything, but we didn't think about something and then it came up and they ended up hearing something from somebody who isn't our client,
Oh God.
but unbeknownst to us was affected by them not knowing about what we did. And it was to the point like it escalated from 0 to 100. And I remember the client saying to me on the phone, like, I wish we never hired you. And that stayed with me. Like my whole weekend was shot. Like this
Yeah.
was like Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock.
Right.
I
Great.
wish we never hired you. And I'd never heard those words before, like ever.
Actually, gut-wrenching, kind of. Yeah.
That's
And-
gut-wrenching.
and yeah, that took the whole
Jeepers.
weekend. Like that set me back
People are
like the
rude.
whole weekend. That's rude. But and then I had to think like, okay, like is what they're saying true? Okay, yes, we didn't consider this. Did it cost them money? Yes. Is there accountability kind of on different sides here? Yes. And then really it just came down to like, okay, so how can I own it on my side to make it right for me? And that's what we did. We owned it on our side. The problem was much bigger than us because there was other parties involved. So, but I'm like, all I can do is I can own my piece.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what you did.
Yeah.
And that's what gives me the peace
Yeah.
to be able to move on past that.
True.
Man, I'm sorry somebody said that to you.
Yeah. That person's silly.
Frig.
Yeah, that's well, and that's because like it's interesting, right? Because like in this, I want you guys' feedback on this, like protecting the good vibes in your business. Like
Right.
I have weeks where it's like, oh man, like I love what I'm doing. This is so
Yeah.
awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then like that one thing happens,
Yes.
but it's like, how do you get to a place where like that doesn't throw everything off, like it doesn't knock you off your axle? Like what do I have to do in order to make sure that works? So I'm gonna pose the question to you guys, like what do you guys do when that bad interaction happens? Like how do you process that, and how do you move forward?
You know that quote about peaches? It's something
Peaches.
like it's something like you could be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, but there'll still be people that don't like peaches. You ever
Yeah.
heard that?
That's a great quote.
Thing.
I've never heard it before. It's a good one.
Sorry, did you guys think I was going off on? I was not paying
I
attention.
was like, this is going to be so insightful. That was great.
I think just like you can always do your best at everything that you do. Like you'll always do your best no matter what, right? Like that's just how we are in our businesses because it's our baby. But there's always going to be either someone who doesn't like what you did, or there'll always be some sort of hiccup. So I think you just have to expect it. But in the moment, I just let it hurt, I think, because if it doesn't, then I don't care, and if I don't care, that's not good either.
I think that's such a good outlook. Like,
So you have to feel.
you have to feel it. Yeah.
Especially like photography. I'm photographing people, like not food, not like these are their lives. So I don't know, it just like matters
You
to me,
care.
I guess. Yeah, I
love
sometimes I
that.
care too much maybe, but
Which is missed a lot,
yeah. Is it?
arguably in the business community.
It is.
Like the caring piece, like
the caring piece is
maybe
huge.
not necessarily like, I don't know, like in maybe like small rural communities, but certainly in the greater at large,
Right.
there's a lot of like soulless
Yeah.
corporation stuff.
There's definitely like businesses I would not be good at because there's none of that. Like there's just some things that it's not about caring, it's about statistics and money and
Right.
blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm dealing with like families and like couples, and I have to care. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you process that? Like, and I want to hear from both of you. Like, how do you eventually move on? Like, is it just time? Is there anything that you do, or is it just like literally like got a good night's sleep? I'm good now.
No, it like definitely takes time, and I'm very much like a talker. Like I can't, if something happens to me, there's zero chance that no one's hearing about it. Like I need to tell somebody, and I'm sure Jordan doesn't love that because he's the opposite. But like it's lucky I know a lot of photographers because I reach out a lot. Like any hiccup, I'm like, oh, I just need to like tell someone this to make
that's
sure that
good.
I'm not being
you.
like
That's very good.
a crazy person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I talk about it a lot. This guy hears a lot about it, but so yeah, I think just like getting it off my chest and making sure I'm not being like bad to people, like not treating people badly, and then I'm not being crazy. But like how we were talking about it at the beginning, if I tell my mom something or Jordan something, sometimes they have my best interest. They don't always have like my client's best interest, right? So that makes it difficult.
Yeah.
But they mean well.
Having those mentors in your own field,
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
People you look up to, and people who've been in the game longer, who've been
Yes.
through it all.
Yes.
They give the best advice.
Yes.
And I always say, like, the only way to get years of experience is years of experience. Like, I heard that on Dragon's Den. But
Right. No, yeah,
I love Dragon's
that's
Den.
very true though, right?
But I was like, yeah, no, it's so true. They have the best advice.
And even those people are still dealing with like bullshit.
And they still
Yeah.
deal with bullshit all the time.
It's like, and it's almost like, do they question themselves, or are they kind of like,
They probably do.
yeah, are they over it? They just know how. Is there ever a point that you get to where you're just like, I've done all of this. Like, there's nothing that you can throw at me that I haven't dealt with
Right.
already.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, me personally, like, I think there's always gonna be something that like.
Yeah.
But I like what you said about like just expecting it, like expecting the unexpected. Like if you just have that framework embedded in you, like
Yeah.
today, like a big fire could break out in the living room,
Yep.
and tomorrow it's
Kind
gonna
of
be the
feels like
kitchen.
it right now.
Yeah.
And the day after, it's gonna be the bedroom. Like,
Yeah.
And then it's like, so what can I do right now to build those tools so I can deal with those
Yes.
as they come?
And definitely like relationships with people that you can like count on. I find that's important. I don't know how anyone could do it all alone. Like, I don't know how you can't
I'm gonna ask.
talk to people.
That brings up a real good question. So like, so there's this phrase, right? And it's called like the phrase is like, and you've probably heard it, like, it's lonely at the top.
Oh, yes.
So, what do you guys think about that phrase? A, and B, do you agree with it?
I disagree with it. I think at every point, every single person is riding on somebody's coattails to get to that top. You're not alone. You had some sort of connection to get there. You learned from somebody to get there. And hopefully, to get to that point, you have those connections to keep you going. Otherwise, what are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing at the top?
Yeah. Like,
what I mean?
What then?
I guess it depends on what like stream you're in, but
Yeah, I think that too. Like,
I'm
it
no
kind of
multimillionaire
depends.
like CEO of a large scale business.
Yeah.
But I believe that everybody is riding on everyone's coattails at some point. Like, you have had to know somebody to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether you went to school, whether you didn't go to school, whether you know this person, whether you don't know that person.
Yeah.
Networking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
No, that makes
Where was I going?
sense. I think it could be lonely
Yeah.
at the top if you are, okay, this was an issue I had. This is something I had to learn like really early on. I was very like, I'm independent and I'm going to do it myself and I don't want your help and no one's going to help me and da 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 da. But then I became very like overprotective of my business, and like hiring someone was so scary for me because I was like, oh, I want these pictures to be perfect and I have done this myself, and you start thinking like you're the only one who can do it that way, which is like obviously not true. People can work cameras. So that I think it could be lonely at the top when you think that you are the only one who can do something. But
Yeah, you would make it lonely.
Yeah.
You have the power to make it very lonely.
yes, yeah. But I
If you so
also
choose.
think like if you include more people, like as I'm hiring more people, it's way more fun, and we're actually growing way more with more people. So it's lonely and not at the top.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that feedback. Like, and like for me, like I think it's the framework that I've kind of actually recently built around that phrase is like, yeah, it definitely can be lonely at the top. Doesn't have to be. Can be. So that's, it comes like, this is why I love entrepreneurship. This is why I love this conversation, because like to a degree, like I think there are some things, like we're talking about like things that are thrown at us that we can't control, but then it's like coming back down to the micro of like, but what is within our control? What can we do that keeps us in a good place even when XYZ is happening up here? So I love that framework of it. And I'll ask this question. Have you guys ever like had a point where you thought like, I'm just gonna quit and get a job?
Yes.
And what was that experience like? Like how did it get to that point, you think?
Well, I've definitely thought about it. I've never like seriously considered it. Like I can't think of there's no way that I would be able to do anything else at this point. I have not had a normal job since I was like probably 18. So it's been a long time. But it's definitely like I've thought like, would it be easier to go to a 9-to-5 where I'm not the boss and not really have to worry about anything, but like my day will suck. And then it's like, nah, I'm going to the beach every night and taking pictures of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something you're passionate about just kind of takes over at that point. You have those doubts, but then it's like, could I work under somebody else's
Yeah.
come in, do what they want me to do, be dedicated to that certain box of time, and then not, I don't know, it was just, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I just can't.
It definitely crosses your mind,
There's a
but
lot
like,
of fear, but
yeah.
And
How
like,
could you
what do you
give it
think?
up?
What do you like? What do you think brings us to that place? Because like obviously like those thoughts have to come from somewhere. So
'Cause you
like
have
what's
to be
happened in the
everything.
background? Like I'm really interested to hear like your process of like what do you believe has like come to being, like whether it's in your mind or something that's happening in front of you that's kind of brought you to that place of thinking like I could just throw in the towel and do something easy.
Definitely like just like overwhelm. Like just I think being like everything and like being alone and like just not having any personal time. Like when I'm home, I'm still working. But also the thought of like, well, my client probably thinks I'm at home doing nothing. And like that really always bothered me, being like, oh, I can't even go to the mall because if someone sees me, they're gonna be like, why are you not at home editing my pictures?
Seriously?
Yes, I used
Oh
to
my
say that all the
goodness.
time. I'd be like, I can only go on like, because people are excited, right? So
Yeah,
they're
they
like
wanna see it.
emailing you, how many more days, have you looked at them, can I have a sneak peek? Like they're just nonstop. So like I know why they're excited, but for me it's like, oh my god, I have to finish these so quickly. But these people, their pictures were first, so I should do them first. But like I really need to start on this wedding, and just overwhelmed, being like, then I end up like feeling like I hate you. But like I don't hate them, I love them. But I'm like, please stop emailing me. Just like stuff like that.
So for you, I'm hearing like a piece could be like client expectations. Maybe they're a bit out of whack, and then that can kind of trickle down
people
to like,
asking for extras, like, okay, well, I know you're gonna get them to me in a week, but can you just send me like 5 by tomorrow? And I'm like, frig, I have to go to my dad's birthday tonight or something, right? Like, okay, like I'll try to sneak that in. Like, can I edit them on my phone? Like, I don't know what you want me to do. Just like stuff like that.
oh no.
It's just that part's difficult, but
what about you, Hilary?
Financial stability. It's like some days you have really slow weeks and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going down the drain. This is it. I'm done. I'm poor. I have no money.
yeah,
And then you have those busy weeks and you're like, okay, no, I'm fine.
right.
And then like massage therapy especially comes in waves. We have our busy times, we have our slower times. But I knew right off the bat too, even just being an RMT working at another clinic, you're never guaranteed clientele. Like
Right.
nothing's guaranteed. So financial stability and then just all the other stuff, your pension, like man, a 9-to-5 financial stability pension, like sometimes it sounds very cushioned. You don't have to think so hard.
Yeah,
You don't have to try so hard.
that's true.
But I don't know. I still love what I'm doing, so I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, it's almost worth it, right? Like
You
the
just
risk.
have to trust.
Yeah.
The risk is worth it when
Like
you're
you haven't failed yourself yet, so you're probably gonna be fine.
right.
Yeah.
So we keep telling ourselves this.
What about you though? Do you ever wish that like you didn't have to be the boss?
I love this because I knew this, you're gonna bring this back. I'm always thinking like 10 years down the road. So, and 10 years down the road, I don't want to be in my business at all.
Right.
I just want to be
Oh.
working on it. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
and for me, then that means that like I have to again have patience and wait
Yeah.
for what I know I want down the line. So, have I ever wanted to like quit and get a job? I've had some gruesome jobs, so
have?
no. But what I do want to do is I want to create an infrastructure of which I can get to a place where I can actually just hire a CEO, hand the keys over from that perspective, still have the ownership piece, but being completely out of it
Yep.
for the most part, and then creating and just doing what I want to do. Like I
Yep.
actually love posting. I love engaging. I
Creating.
get
Nice.
joy out of that stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do. I could see myself still doing that, but as far as like everything else, like operation, like all that stuff, like eventually that stuff like can go.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point. I think about that sometimes too. Just like, I probably can't go to weddings forever. Like, your kids probably don't want me to take their wedding pictures. Your kids probably won't want me to take their wedding pictures because I'll be like old and not cool. Well, I'm not cool now, but yeah, so I've definitely considered that too. Like, would I hire someone to be the face, or would I just give it up? I don't know. It's kind of different though, because your business is like so many different things, where mine is just like photography.
right, yeah, different dynamic. Absolutely. And I'm curious about this because like we've talked a bit about like obviously like the client interaction and that type of communication, but what about like internally, like when there's conflict or there's a challenge or something, but it's like inside your house, like it's in your business. It's not like a client you're dealing with. It's like a team member or staff or whatever. Like how do you protect like that, keep that culture vibrant even when you're dealing with that situation?
We just basically went through a whole year of this actually. Once we started Right Fit Therapy, and because Cara and I didn't know what we wanted it to be at the start, so when we brought on other people, they all had different ideas of what it was going to be because we didn't know what it was completely going to be because we hadn't been completely established. So it was the most humbling experience, I think, because we sat down, Cara and I sat down with the discomforts of ourselves, and we were like, why are we angry about this? Why am I angry about this? Should I be angry about this? And I think it was a lot of checking in on myself as this year has progressed. Why is my ego so obsessed with being perfect? Why do I need it to be this way? And then it's gaining that other person's perspective and sitting down and having a real conversation about it. And oh my gosh, it strengthened the team tenfold, as opposed to being reactive and blowing up, which I'll be honest, I've done. And I did that, I think we've all done that, but yeah, I think, just sitting down and being honest with
That's hard
myself.
Though, right?
It is so freaking hard.
Or telling like the other person that's working for you, like what you actually are thinking, because you just want to be like, it's
you
fine,
want to butter it
it's
up
fine.
and just make the conversation easy and flowy. And no, man, it's like sandpaper.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, and you sit there and you're like, I am crawling.
Yes.
But that's the good stuff. That's when things get better. And I think it strengthens the community. So, oh man, it's been a year of that, but it's been a good year of that, personally.
Yeah.
I don't know, what about you?
Well, it's a little bit new to me. I've only had Mackenzie for like a month. But I've worked with Kate throughout the summers with weddings, but she wasn't in my business very much. Like, she just came to weddings with me. So now she's shooting her own weddings, and like, it's lovely. It's good. We don't really have a lot of issues, but there's been times where like nothing with photos. Like, I'm able to tell her like, okay, if I want something different with photos, I can tell her that, and she's totally fine. She takes criticism great. Like, we're both that way. But there was one thing that happened business-wise that bothered me, and I was like, I'm not gonna say anything. And then I was just felt mad at her, but like, she didn't do anything wrong. I was mad because I hadn't been honest with her about it.
Right.
And then like weeks later, I was like, okay, this really bothered me. And then she was like, oh my gosh, why would you not tell me that?
Yeah.
She's like, I don't care about stuff like that like you do. Like, this is your baby. I just want to take pictures. Like, I don't care. You just need to tell me. So now I'm like, okay, I just need to like tell her up front. But it's still really new to me, so I don't know yet. It'll be interesting going forward. And like, I know that she's not going to be around forever. She's not going to want to shoot weddings forever. So that's the other thing. Like, will she be comfortable enough to tell me that? We need to make like a very honest, maybe like weekly meetings or something, or like even monthly. I don't know.
Yeah.
There seems to be a theme here. Like, like sometimes like maybe it's us. Maybe we're the ones that are standing in the way.
Most of the time.
All the time I feel
Right?
that way. I'm like, this
Damn,
is
it's
definitely
always
me. Yeah. Yeah.
And then like is like you were saying, Hilary, like having like that really honest conversation with yourself. I like me personally, I've probably grown the most as a human, like from the just from an empathetic standpoint, because of HR.
Oh,
Because like this is just my opinion, and you guys can weigh on this. Like I feel like you have to, like, empathy is a decision. Like you don't just wake up and you're like, I care about what that person's going through. I'm empathetic. Like
Right.
to me, like
Yeah.
it's always has been a decision for me. Like it's not like necessarily like my default if I don't understand it. So and I've been put in a lot of scenarios where it's like, and still new to it, like where I've had to like decide like, okay, how do I address this? Am I gonna listen to what this other person's saying? Does it have validity? How do I move forward with it? So, but yeah, a lot of the times I'm finding it's me. Like it's like I have to get past something in order to like
Yeah.
bring that good energy back.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. And that's like what you were saying before, is like sitting with your feelings and the discomforts when you made that peach
Yeah.
analogy. I was like, oh, I love that so much. Like, we do need to sit and like, especially for me, who was dealing with anger, like I used to get so angry.
Yeah.
So I'd sit and I'd be like, okay, why am I so angry? And then just, but yeah, sitting
Go
with your
over it.
feelings and
Yeah. Lots of
understand yourself.
reflection. And then like
Reflection.
back to empathy and like out of clients, like I know we've had this conversation before about like if you see someone not even in your industry, just a business person going through something, but you see them making like possible like horrible decisions, like if it's posting something online or just like, and you feel bad for them, what do you do if they ask you like, what do you think about this? And you're like, you're thinking, I think you shouldn't have done that, but like you don't want to offend them. Then what?
I don't know. It's already out there.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean,
Cause at that point. I don't know.
I don't know. Somebody said this to me. It's like you asked,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like I feel like if somebody's asking you that question, like they've invited you to be fully transparent. And I think the mistake we make as entrepreneurs or just even as humans is like we sometimes get to a vulnerable state where it's like, what do you think about this? Because you're really just trying to find an ally. You're really
Totally.
just trying to
Yes.
find somebody that will affirm what you believe you're feeling.
Yeah.
And then you on the other side of the coin, like you want to be that for that person.
Yep.
But if you don't agree with it, then it's like, what do you do? And for me, it's like, I just think of the attitude. I'm like, okay, you asked, so I'm just going to tell you
Yeah.
the way I see
Be
uncomfortable.
it.
open to receiving.
Yeah.
If you're gonna ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Or like,
Or I might even say, like, are you sure you want my feedback on this? Like, are you sure? You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's a desperacy thing. And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm like, are you sure you're okay with getting feedback? I
Right.
might ask them that first if I know that what's going to come next will be controversial.
yeah. What if someone like in your industry is like saying things about your industry that like aren't true, but they're putting it out there to basically your clients?
Oh my goodness.
Then what?
This is happening right now.
Really? See, yeah, that's really complicated.
Well, it's funny because like it's basically that, like, just saying they're basically saying that like what I do as a part of what I do, because we do a variety of things, but part of what I do is like it's outdated. It's not effective anymore. It's not. It's like it's XYZ. They're also in a marketing space, but they have something that's a little bit more curated. So they do like one thing.
Right.
And they try to do it to the best of their ability. I do multiple things, but they're saying some of the things that I do is outdated. So, I mean, for me, it just comes down to like results get proven on the field.
True.
Yeah.
That is very
Right?
true.
It's
That's
like-
a good point.
What do I need to talk about? I'm
Yeah.
just gonna go out there and prove it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's
The
their
bond.
opinion, too.
Yes.
Whitney and I had a good conversation about opinion and Instagram the other day, because in our marketplace too, there's so many opinions on how treatments should be,
Oh God.
or what
I
a
didn't even
treatment should
think
look
about
like.
that.
The newest research, is research even valid? And we had such a good conversation about it. And then at the end of our conversation, we were just like, well, it's their opinion, and this is our practice. So we just
Oh.
don't practice like other RMTs. There's just
Right.
so, I guess in the massage world, physio world, chiro world, like everyone's doing the same stuff but different stuff, and
Totally.
I don't know. At the end of the day, it's everyone's
Yeah, you
opinion.
Yeah.
have to get to a
suppose.
comfort level, right? Because it's and that like that's been a bit of
Yeah.
a struggle and like something that I continue to work with because our industry changes on a dime,
Oh, I bet.
right?
Well, yeah.
Like it's like there's always
keep up.
something.
Yeah.
There's always something new. So it's like, and then somebody comes in and says like, "You're doing this wrong. This has to be like." So like, first of all, like I have to be open to saying, okay, I'll listen to your feedback. I might go back and look it up and say, okay, is what this person's saying correct? I think you said something earlier. I'm going to come back to it. You said like expecting like something like a
Oh,
fire
yeah.
to happen, right?
Yeah.
So like if I come in with the framework of like I expect that I'm going to learn something new today, I expect that there's something I don't know that
Yeah.
I'm about to learn, then when somebody comes to me and says, no, you're doing that wrong, it's not like, what do you mean I'm doing that wrong? It's like, oh, okay, well, let's see what you have to say.
Right.
And then I'll judge it against my own research and then decide if I think that's valid or not.
True.
Yeah.
Very
Take
true.
what you will and create from that.
Yeah. How do you put that? How does everyone put that out there to clients too? Like everyone works differently. Like if someone comes to you and someone comes to me for a massage, it's gonna be different. But like, do they realize that?
Typically, and then people will often say after the treatment, wow, that was different than my last massage in this
Right.
way. And I always have that conversation with clients. It's always a different experience. It doesn't make the other experience wrong. I'm just going to treat you differently. Maybe it's a different way of communicating. Maybe our goals are different in this treatment. There's just so many things that could be different. I don't even think in terms of massage too, like, I don't think I've ever gotten one massage that felt like another massage.
Oh.
And then everyone's treatment styles are so different.
Interesting.
Personally, I guess
Yeah.
I just analyze my massages.
Right. You're like, this feels different.
What are you doing? What is your goal here? Is there a goal?
I mean,
That
I've
is really
had
interesting.
a quick example of that. Like I've had somebody that says like, yeah, like I've dealt with a marketing firm before in the past, and like basically like I only had to pay them if I actually got a client,
Oh
From-
gosh.
and they basically said like, is that something that we could do here?
Oh.
And again, confidence, and it's like I just do it differently, man. Like that's just
Yeah.
not how my
Absolutely
business
not,
is
yeah.
set up.
Yeah.
So but like for a second, because it was like it's a good friend of mine in business, and I was like, and then you have like the should I accommodate?
Right.
Yeah, when it's good
Right? Like
friends.
you have that moment of like, right?
Yeah.
And then, but it's like, no, like I'm gonna be out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? So, self-talk.
Yeah.
I
And
got
yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the best of friends should know your worth too.
Yeah.
All my good friends do.
Facts.
Yeah.
I got one more question for you guys to wrap this up. So we've all kind of given our numbers, like where we kind of sit between 1 and 10 of like where we are with like, you know, our vibe as in like now in our business. What, if I'll ask this honest question, what do you guys personally to yourselves think it would take to move up that scale?
I have like a vision for myself, vision for the clinic, and then steps and goals to get there. So it's just like fulfilling those steps and goals. Maybe I'm going to take some, you know, side roads and stuff to get there. But I think just focusing on the overall vision is how I'm going to get there. Stay positive.
Love it.
Stay positive and work on, I guess, like everything we've talked about today.
Yeah. I think just like, I don't know if developing is the right word, but like getting my process down more. Whereas last year I would work, like I would shoot every single day, like every day. I would have no time to like really edit or anything, so I got really behind. So now I'm only working certain days. I'm like firm on that. There's no getting around it unless it like rains or something. But I think continuing to do that and like sticking to that, so I do have like at home time, and not like, there was a lot of people that would inquire with me that I couldn't take, and that was frustrating for me because it felt like I was missing out, but like I don't have that like mental energy anymore to like give to them. So hopefully like hiring more people to do the work that I can't do, but still providing that like same experience for those clients. But like being able to be home more, and just, I think hiring more people will help me do that, because then I'll be able to like not have my soul sucked out of me by all these people every day. So hopefully hopefully hiring people will help, but we'll see. And like the studio, having this like space that I know is like safe, I know how to shoot here, I have everything I need, and people can just come to it, and it's not as much of like a rush. Like I did your shoot here, and like if we didn't have this, like we would have had to rent an Airbnb or like something like that. It just makes it more complicated. So I think just like making my process a lot more simple and like, I don't know, just like refined, and know exactly what I'm doing on each day, and maybe doing not less shooting, but less types of shooting, like sticking to weddings for a few more years or a lot more years, whatever, and branding, and kind of letting everyone else do other things. And then it's easy.
I love it. And I
great
love
response.
Thanks.
I love the two perspectives, because I truly think it's going to bring value to like anybody that watches this episode, because you went like macro and like talked about vision and like just staying the course, like making sure, and then you went micro, and you went like process, like implementing some things that'll just make day-to-day life like that much more efficient and like easier on yourself.
Yeah.
And both
So
of which
important.
I think are extremely valuable.
I don't think you could get to the macro without all those micros, like putting yourself, self-care first. Those moments
Yeah.
alone, not having your career run your life, which
It's kind
I
of
think as an
new too,
entrepreneur
right?
is
Like,
huge.
yeah, like I feel like no one really talked about that. So it's like we didn't even know we were supposed to be doing that every single year. I'm like, why do I feel like I'm dying? Like I feel like I'm 80 years old. And it's like, oh, maybe you're not supposed to work like 70 hours a week. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
That's it.
What about you? You have to answer.
Yeah, for what it's going to take for me to go up, honestly, I think it's going to come down to like better habits, better personal habits. Like I mean, like down to like what I choose to like entertain like in my head, or even like, because I'm a curious person by nature, so I'll watch like YouTube videos on like, how do you do this, how do you do that, how do you address this, how do you address that, and like I think just being more intentional in building those habits like into my day, even like if little things, like if I feel rushed on something, it's not going to be a good space.
Right.
So I'm like, how do I set myself up where I'm not in a rush? So I've actually like, I work like a little bit on Sunday afternoons just to like be like, okay, I'm good on Monday,
Right.
like that type of
Yeah.
thing. So like
that.
just little habit things that as I learn more about myself,
Yeah.
I can like anticipate like what I need,
Yeah,
and
to
then
feel good,
execute on
right?
it.
Yeah.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Love that so much.
Yeah.
Love it too.
Thank you guys so much for this conversation. I
It's
really
so fun.
fun.
really appreciate hearing
Nothing to be
from you
nervous
guys.
about.
And
We
like,
were so scared.
you know, and for anybody that's going to be listening to this, like we don't have the answers, right?
Oh,
like
no.
we like
Definitely not.
This is all about like just sharing like what we've experienced, our perspective, and just like really like what's going on, because like I feel like these conversations aren't necessarily always had. Like a lot of it happens in a private forum, but I think the public forum is rare locally.
Yeah.
Like you'll see it all over the internet, but like you're in like Atlanta or
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like it's always like somewhere else, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But to see it local is so I appreciate the transparency and you guys sharing today.
Yeah, that's
No problem.
Thank you
Thanks
for having us.
having us on your talk show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a wrap, Will.
Perfect. That's a wrap.
Ooh.